Hello again and welcome back to another one of these. After the fun and frivolity of the last few weeks, God, it's been a few weeks already, crikey, so much has happened since then. I found an old video. I told you a while ago I had a list of YouTube videos I was going to run through, and this is one of them. The video is 21 Flat Earth Truths, or something along those lines. Let me quickly grab it up on my phone. So the video, Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions and Answers that Prove the Earth is Flat. So I have run through this. It's probably 50-50 whether or not these are actually truthful answers or just someone's personal opinion. But when it comes to Flat Earth, it's nothing but opinion. So yeah. So what I'll do the usual. I shall run through this, stop where appropriate, trim out the endless amounts of excess fat or things being repeated over and over. Whether I heard that before, and we'll crack on. Okay, so we'll get started. So this is Odd TV, Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 Questions and Answers that they think prove the Earth is flat. Here we go. It's all very dramatic.
So where's the edge?
Who's to say that there is an edge, and why assume there is one? Is it because when we are introduced to the idea of a flat Earth, it's always depicted like this?
Yeah, basically. You guys posited this theory. You're the guys who say the Earth is flat. The two trains of thought is that it is a disk floating through space, or it's surrounded by an endless void that goes on forever. Neither are practical. The Earth is flat, it's been asked before, and space is fake. Where are we?
In the currently most accepted model, Antarctica is not a continent, but a 360-degree landmass made up of ice that holds the oceans within.
Now you say the most widely accepted model. I think that's a bone of contention for a lot of flat earthers because you guys can't decide on a single model and haven't been able to. You may have one shape. Well, some of you believe in one shape, others believe that the flat earth is a concept rather than an actual thing. Not quite sure how that works in practicality, but let's carry on regardless. It should be noted this video was actually published 6 years ago and so far it's had 1.6 million views. No accounting for taste, but looking through the comment section, it's heartening to see that the majority of the people commenting, they're just watching it for a bit of a laugh.
We look at a Gleason's map from 1892 that states at the top that it's scientifically and practically correct, as is.
Interesting thing about the Gleason map, it was widely accepted at the time that Gleason, the chap who posited this map, who created this map, said that it was a true representation of what the planet actually looked like. Not so. See, this is quite famous, and because it is quite famous, it had to go through the US Patents Office. And there's a quite interesting part right down the bottom of the patent for the Gleason's map that every flat earther would like to ignore completely and pretend it doesn't exist. I shall read you a section from that patent. The extortion of the map from that of a globe consists mainly in the straightening out of the meridian lines, allowing each to retain their original value from Greenwich, the equator, to the poles. So Gleason knows that this was a projection, which is actually written at the top of the map, of a globe Earth. Sorry about that.
The Gleason's map is basically an azimuthal equidistant projection, which can be traced back to the year 1000.
Azimuthal equidistant projection. Those are some pretty fancy words you've got there, sir. But let's see what that actually means. The azimuthal equidistant projection is an azimuthal map projection. It has useful properties that all points of the maps are at proportionally correct distances from the center point, and that all points on the maps are at the correct azimuth direction from the center point. A useful application for this type of projection is a polar projection, which shows all the meridians or lines of longitude as straight, with distances from the poles represented correctly. The flag of the United Nations contains an example of a polar azimuthal equidistant projection. So basically it's just a fancy way of having a map where you can see everything at once. That is a little more accurate in a wrong way than the Mercator map, which we'll probably get to later.
The AE map is also an official map of the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, and the official logo for the United Nations.
Again, The reason is for this would probably be, this is my estimation, is that you are a company or an organisation or a collection of countries where everybody is supposedly treated equal. Russia and North Korea, I'm not looking at you. You want everybody to be on the map at the same time. Now obviously with something like the Mercator map, you have got a large rectangular, completely disproportionate map of the entire planet. However, depending on your culture, you either read from left to right or right to left. That would, for lack of a better expression, that means that it's who you look at first. So they would think that one country is being favoured over the others. Whereas if you're the kind of person who immediately focuses on the middle of the map, you'd be looking at somewhere like London, you know, where the Greenwich Meridian is, and actual Greenwich is. If you've ever been there, nice place, I highly recommend it. So you would think that as this map focuses on that point, they're the most important people on the planet. Not so. When you've got something like the United Nations or the USGS, as he points out, everybody wants to be equal. Let's show the Gleason's map adaptation thereof, so that everybody's on the map at the same time and nobody's being put at the forefront and leaving anybody else in the background. We're all friends together.
The oldest known globe in the world is from 1492. This is something you need to keep in mind because many people argue that the azimuthal equidistant map is just a flattened out version of the globe.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I think they go together.
Flat map came first and it has the ability to convert into a globe without any problems whatsoever. Then that should tell you a little bit about how this globe deception was achieved.
That's a little bit backwards, don't you think? Flattening the globe out to a flat disc creates more problems than it solves in every possible way.
Now, back to if there is an edge or not. There is no proof that there is an edge past the Antarctic ice wall.
Because there's no edge past the Antarctic ice wall, because there's no Antarctic ice wall. The pictures you're showing are of icebergs or shelves. Shelves.
But it is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless.
How many is many? You say it's speculated by many that it's just an ice wall and the world carries on forever. How many is many? I'm willing to guess it's less than 100.
In these two scenarios, it would be logically assumed that more land is being hidden from the general public. In a 1954 interview with Admiral Richard E. Byrd, an American naval officer who specialized in exploration, he had this to say.
But strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
So that's beyond the South Pole, after the South Pole, from the point of view of Middle America. So basically what he's saying is he journeyed to Antarctica from South America, or Central America, or Middle America, travelled to the South Pole, turned around and came back, because, you know, you've got that pointy bit and it's easier to get back to civilization. There's nothing being hidden or deceived here. If you look at Antarctica, he's absolutely correct. From his starting point, he reached the South Pole, turned around and came back. But after the South Pole, from that point, was at least a massively large slab of land that has, at that point, at the time of his exploration, no one had ever set foot on. So he was absolutely correct.
And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
Implying that there is more land past Antarctica.
That's not what he said. He didn't say there was more land past Antarctica. He said there was more land past the South Pole.
An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America.
Where does the sun go if the earth is flat?
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective.
The age-old question, what's keeping it up there? This has been asked many times before by other people. The sun and the moon are just floating within a hemisphere above our heads with no obvious means of suspension or propulsion. How is it doing it? It's much more logical, sensible and realistic that the sun is sitting where it is, and the intense gravitational field it has means that we are orbiting around it. The concept, I mean, I know that other people, Dave McKeegan did an amazing video a few weeks ago where the orbits of the sun and the moon on a flat earth are completely logical, make absolutely no sense whatsoever, and then anybody who believes that kind of thing really needs to get themselves looked at, because again, they have all these fanciful notions of what is and isn't possible, isn't physically impossible, but they're willing to believe that the sun is only a few thousand miles above our head and it's just floating there with no means of support or propulsion. It just, yeah, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
The sun disappears at the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon where the ground meets the sky, and since the sun is not 93 million miles away, I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller.
Where have we seen this before? Where the sun is suddenly making a sharp right-hand bend. Oh, yeah. From the guy who thinks that everybody has their own personal sphere of vision. All 7 billion of us. Like I said, this video is a few years old now, so other flat earthers and what have you have probably ripped this to shreds. So there's a possibility we'll see yellow t-shirt guy a few more times in this video.
The light emanating from the sun only illuminates about half of the flat plane at once as it makes its daily journey.
Okay, that'll do for summer in the northern hemisphere. What about winter? Because that picture you just showed, that little video you just showed, if you were to negative that, make that image a negative, then that would basically mean that the sun's rays would be in the southern hemisphere, or the outer edge of your flat disk, but circling around the entire outer edge and leaving a dark spot in the middle. How's that work?
What's underneath the flat Earth?
I'll stop this one because that one does need answering. First you have to prove the flat earth before you can estimate or postulate what's underneath it. The earth isn't flat, it's an oblate spheroid, there's no underneath apart from what's in the centre. If you're going to answer this question and say what is underneath the flat earth, or what you think is underneath the flat earth, you also have to state whether or not you believe that the earth is a singular flat disk or it's just a void inside an expansive, massive ice field that goes on forever. By the way, if it is that, what's that sitting on? What's underneath that? And again, the question is, where is it?
This is obviously an unanswerable question since the assumed edge has never been known to be reached.
Okay, so I think I'm going to skip this one because of what I just said and what he's just said. You can't answer the question because they're labouring under the misapprehension that there is an edge to discover and then you can look under. But I have to say, that's a bit of an interesting question. I don't think I've heard that one being asked before. It's one of those things where they kind of shot themselves in the foot because they're the guys asking the questions. They've put this video together. It's not like they asked people to give them questions. They've come up with this lot. So they've given themselves a question they deliberately knew they couldn't answer. I think that's called padding.
Many religious texts support an immovable earth that has its foundations on which it is laid and its pillars by which it is supported. We simply don't know, but we do know that the earth is obviously fixed in place, as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement.
Okay, so you don't understand conservation of momentum. Peas in a pod, you lot.
What we see in the skies above are illuminated objects making circles around us just as it appears. Whatever this place may be, it's the center of all we survey.
That's a little bit egotistical, don't you think? We are the centre of the universe, everything revolves around us. I think I'll expand on that near the end because I know what's coming.
The very core of the earth is nothing more than wild speculation, if not another malicious lie.
Do you know what volcanoes are? It's pretty much evidence of what's in the middle of the earth. And we know what's in the middle of the earth because we can measure it during earthquakes.
So what's under the earth? That remains a mystery to us all. But another thing that you can research is what's inside the earth. multi-billion-dollar deep underground military bases.
That's a clip from Resident Evil, the Paul W.S. Anderson Milla Jovovich movie. Do know that's fiction, don't you?
Deep underground military bases known as DUMBs, D-U-M-Bs, right?
You know someone's going to hide into nothing when they have to answer all their statements with, right? Right? You agree with me, yes? It would appear desperation for validation is a common trait amongst these guys.
What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
This is also due to human perspective. They don't go over the horizon, they go into the horizon, moving beyond the limit of our vision and past the vanishing point. But the ships and boats are easily brought back into view with a pair of binoculars, a telescope, and any camera with a good zoom lens.
Okay then, explain this. As I've said before several times, I live near the south coast of Kent and have opportunities quite often to go to Dover, which is where the ferries go in between Dover and Calais. And many times I've seen ferries leaving port and what have you. There's actually a nice spot you can go to. If you go around near Dover Castle, I think, and turn left, go past the road sign, it's got loads of stickers on it. You can park up and you can go on this nice grassy bank on top of the cliffs and watch over the docks as all the ships go in and out. And on a clear day, as I said before, you can see France. Now, from that vantage point, which is really highly elevated, and you had a camera with a strong enough zoom lens, you could probably watch the ferries go a pretty far distance, but you would still be able to see them because of your highly elevated position. If you were down on the shoreline, you've got about 6 or 7 miles, and they do go behind the horizon. As I said before, Dover and Folkestone are an amazing place to witness the curve for yourself. As I said before, this goes along the premise that there's people who say that you can see Corsica from Nice, but you can't see France from Dungeness, but you can see it from Folkestone. And that's only a distance, a perpendicular distance, of about 20 miles. That's witnessing the curve in real time. These little clips he's picked out are of boats that haven't sailed far enough to make an adequate demonstration. But again, it's cherry-picking media to fit a narrative that can be disproved in a heartbeat.
Why can't we see noticeable curvature from 120,000 feet up? But many people claim that the supposed curvature can be seen from the ground.
I will pause it at that exact point because if you look at that screenshot there, that's a fisheye lens. The horizon of the Earth is curling up slightly to the right hand side. Fisheye lens, cherry-picked footage, not an accurate representation of what you can see from that height.